are surrounding the murder of Stephanie Scott?
I can't really remember.
Sorry?
I think I went a little nuts.
You went a little nuts, did you? And can you tell me what you mean by going a little nuts?
Couldn't stop myself from doing it.
What feeling came over you? Like, what did you feel?
That I had to kill her. I wasn't angry or anything. Basically emotionless, just that I had to kill her.
The bride-to-be goes missing days before her wedding.
Best way to describe him is evil.
Something more happened potentially in the Netherlands.
And I look into his eyes and like black holes.
Identical twin brother, identical DNA.
What they unearthed was disturbing.
Leeton is a small country town located in New South Wales, Australia. About 6.5 hours southwest of Sydney. It's a farming type community. And the people of Leeton are community minded. You drive down the street, everyone waves. It's a lovely, friendly town to be a part of.
I grew up in Leeton and call Leeton home. It's an unknown town, really, just quiet. Everyone knows everyone. It's a friendly town.
Tonight, a family desperate as a bride-to-be goes missing days before her wedding.
When local schoolteacher Stephanie Scott went missing in April 2015, the entire town of Leeton was shocked.
This was a woman who was about to get married and be with the love of her life, and all of the plans were underway. All of, you know, the fuss and the excitement for the Scott family was right there because she was about to get married. My name is Dimity Clancy. I'm a television journalist and spent most of my career covering crime. And the case of Stephanie Scott is one that I have never forgotten and will never forget.
26-year-old Stephanie Scott was last seen on Easter Sunday, and those closest to her now fear the worst. Dimity, the mystery gets deeper by the hour. Have there been any leads?
That's right. Georgie, police here in Leeton are certainly working on the case tonight. They say they're keeping an open mind and at this stage of their inquiries are not ruling anything out.
So Stephanie had gone into town to get her fiancé's cufflinks for the wedding. And her fiancé was waiting for her to get home so that they could go out for dinner. They'd booked a date night. And he was waiting at home and she never showed. When I got to Leeton, it was clear that people loved her.
She was amazing. The only person you'd probably go to and actually speak to. She'd understand everything. If you had problems at home, had problems anywhere, you could just speak to her about it. She was amazing.
She was like one of the nicest teachers I've ever known. I think she kind of like helped me with my confidence because like I was like extremely shy and now I'm opening up a little bit.
I had heard over the weekend of a missing bride-to-be that was over Facebook. At first, I thought it might have been just a bit of a prank. I'm Detective Inspector Tim Clark. It was Tuesday, the 6th of April in 2015. I was asked to go over to Leeton and to do some initial investigations to determine the exact circumstances of her missing and just get down to the bottom of where was she last seen, which is the most important thing.
On Tuesday, I was rostered to work the afternoon. I got a phone call from Detective Clark asking me to start in Leeton. I am Justin Milne. And the last sighting was when she attended the school on the Sunday to do some work in preparation for her leaving to go and get married and go on a honeymoon. Following that, Detective Clark and I went to Leeton High School. She had all her lesson plans and things all neatly stacked and piled up on her desk, ready for whoever was going to take over classes while she was away. Nothing untoward. One of the teachers who led us through the school told me about supplying Stephanie with her keys. She described the red lanyard, and there was particular mention of the blue key. The teacher that let us in, he was quite upset and expressed concerns that the story of the runaway bride, that was not true. He said she was so excited for it.
Even from the police, they didn't quite know exactly what they were dealing with from the beginning. Was this woman a runaway bride? She was a week out from her wedding. Did she just get cold feet and go missing? But her family was adamant from the start that she just wouldn't do this. They even hired a helicopter to go out searching for her. And they were worried they might find her car crashed somewhere, you know, on the country roads.
You'd be starting to feel pretty alone if she's in a car trapped or whatever the circumstances are.
They were so sure that Stephanie wouldn't just go missing and that something had happened to her and she was out there somewhere.
When I got to Stephanie's place, I was met by her fiancé and a number of family members. Very, very quickly, after speaking with them, very quickly did I determine there was no way she had cold feet. And so, yeah, I was very concerned at that point in time.
It's baffling me, like, where could she be? Just want her to be here so we can just get on with the stuff we need to do. I don't know where to go from it, like, where to search or anything.
I remember looking around and it was all set up, like she had everything ready, in full mode, you know, preparation mode for the wedding. So it was, from that moment, it was like, there's something seriously wrong here. Still holding out hope, but, you know, deep down I thought, no, there's something very bad that's happened.
One name that kept coming up, the school cleaner, Vincent Stanford.
We had learnt that a cleaner by the name of Vincent Stanford was in the school over the Easter period leading up to the Sunday when Stephanie disappeared. Now, obviously it was Easter, it was school holidays. There really shouldn't have been anyone at the school. So he initially was considered a possible witness in the matter. I had a couple of detectives working afternoon shift. They continued with making some inquiries and we had some uniformed staff initially attend the home of Vincent Stanford. He said he didn't see her. He did acknowledge that he was at the school at certain periods of time, but not at the time that she was there and didn't see her. The police were leaving, they were walking down the driveway, and he called out to them and he said, "Good luck finding her." And he had a bit of a wry grin on his face. And they found that to be quite chilling.
So obviously, by that stage, I was really concerned. Look, I had no evidence, but I was really concerned. This bloke, you know, what's his involvement or what's his curiosity or concern with this matter? I noticed His movements that he described to the officer he provided his statement to included attending a supermarket in town on the Sunday, Easter Sunday. I knew that that supermarket wasn't open that day.
It was quite clear that he was lying in relation to his movements on the day. So I tasked Detective Milne to attend his residence and speak to him and see whether he was willing to come back as a volunteer to speak to us further in relation to those movements and some of the things that he'd told us.
We went down to Vincent's house. There was no one around, like there's no cars around. Knocked on the front door and Vincent's mother answered. We asked his mother if we could come into the home and if we could do a quick walk through, just search by consent. And she agreed to this. Eventually we came round and got to Vincent's room. As soon as we opened the door, she stayed back. She wouldn't come into the door. And I went into the room and I saw one of the set of keys that were there had a red lanyard and it piqued my interest straight away. I took my pen out of my pocket and I started just picking through the keys. And the first, I obviously saw the red lanyard and then I saw a blue key. I sort of just went weak in the knees. I sort of buckled a little bit thinking, oh no, this has happened, something's happened.
So Detective Milne, he'd seen a set of keys. There was no confirmation that those keys were hers, but they definitely looked like the keys.
And then we made the decision at that time to establish a crime scene. We all left the premises. I rang Detective Clark, who was back at the station, informed him of what we had done.
When he first said it, I didn't believe him. Surprise was one word. The fact that we'd gone from this person of interest to now her keys sitting in his room. Then get into this automated mode of, right, this is what we've got to do. This is what has to happen. So it was then arranging, we need staff, I need police on scene, I need to lock this place down. Vincent wasn't there. And so Detective Milne came back to the station and we had a very short discussion about the keys. And at this point in time, the keys looked like the keys that Stephanie was given. So I tasked them to go and start making some inquiries with this particular teacher in relation to those keys.
I got a phone call from one of the officers who was performing crime scene guard, and he informed me that Vincent Stanford had arrived at the address. He said he's parked across the road. I said, can you please just tell him we're on our way back and want to speak to him, and also inform him he's not under arrest, he's free to leave, but I just want to have a chat to him.
They asked him where he'd been, and he said he'd been out taking photos. And they noticed that on the front seat of the car was a camera on the passenger seat.
We walked over to his car, and in the back tray, you could see some MDF boards. You could see there was some sort of staining on the edge of those boards that appeared to be blood.
So he came back to Leeton Police Station, they brought him back. I met Vincent for the first time.
So we spoke to him in the just the front foyer area of the Leeton Police Station.
And in the light there, I noticed straight away on his face that he had some fresh scratches. There was one particular scratch he had that came down his forehead, down his eyelid and down his cheek. And then another one across the bridge of his nose. He also had a number of marks on his arm, which to me appeared to be impressions of like fingernails in the arm. He made up a number of excuses for those scratches, and that greatly concerned me.
While that was happening, the car had been brought back to the station, his car, his ute.
They then got the camera out and turned the camera on. And the first photograph that came up on that camera was a photo of a deceased burnt body. The second photo was another photo of that same body from a different angle.
He said that he downloaded those from the internet to his camera. When we asked him, he said it was some horror movie and he was interested in that and he liked that sort of stuff.
At that point in time, we still didn't know where Stephanie was. And we didn't know whether she was deceased or whether she was alive. We didn't know where her car was. We didn't know where she was. And we had a set of keys that were possibly hers that were in his bedroom.
That's pretty much all the evidence we had at that stage, but there was just that feeling in your stomach that this was the guy, that he had some involvement in her disappearance and murder, and that those photographs were of Stephanie.
Unfortunately, though, I knew in my heart and the gut feeling I had that she was not going to walk in that door. She was... yeah. So I made that decision that I was going to charge him that night, and I did. I was not prepared to let this person walk out of this police station.
When Detective Clark and Detective Milne walked into the police station for work on the Tuesday, they had no idea Stephanie Scott had been murdered. By the time they finished work on Thursday afternoon, her murderer, Vincent Stanford, was already in custody.
We were absolutely exhausted. It was the longest shift I've ever worked.
It was the weirdest feeling. You were happy that someone was arrested, and you were also happy that you were protecting the community. Like, had that feeling of satisfaction. But there was that empty feeling that, you know, someone wasn't coming home. That was hard. That was hard.
But their job was only just beginning. They needed more evidence.
So at the time of charging him, I had the set of keys. We had no body, we had no car, we had no phone, we had no location of a phone, didn't have anything else.
Let's get the latest now from Nine's Dimity Clancy, who joins us on the phone from the Channel 9 chopper. Dimity, what can you see and where are you?
Well, Brett, good morning. We are about 8.5 k's west of Leeton, 8.5 k's on the Griffith Road.
And we were over where they were searching, and suddenly we come across her car.
And what you can see in those pictures now is a car exactly the same as that of what Stephanie Scott owned. That's the red Mazda. Police, I believe they've been appealing to the public to see if anybody has found that.
That's the car they're looking for. The paddy wagon with the murderer inside drives up the country road. We're hovering above, and he drives right past the spot where he dumped Stephanie's car after murdering her and dumping her body. And that was the moment that police found her car. He dumped it and run.
Her body was located out at Kokopara National Park. Yeah, at least then we had her body, which was, again, a relief, but that empty feeling again that this has happened. There's no coming back. You're happy, but it's sad.
What came next was something neither of them could have predicted.
So while we were conducting the investigative search at Vincent's premises, I was contacted by Junee Jail, and they advised me that Vincent had asked for me to attend the jail to speak to him, which is very unusual.
I've never, and I haven't since then, ever conducted an interview at a jail. This was a first for me where someone reached out wanting to be interviewed.
We're at the Junee Correctional Centre and we're here speaking with Vincent. So the setting was an unusual setting. It was in the jail. It was in an office, so it was quite an unusual location to be doing an interview. The time now is 5 minutes to 7 p.m. on the 11th of April 2015.
We were quite mindful that the 11th, Saturday, was a big day because that was the wedding day. We thought that he may possibly be trying to interject himself into that, and we also thought he may be trying to find out what we knew. We didn't want to give Vincent any information about the investigation. We obviously just wanted to learn from him what he wanted to tell us.
Can you tell me what it is you would like to speak to me about?
I want to confess to the charges laid against me.
Okay, and so when you say you want to confess, can you tell me what you wish to say to me?
I agreed to the charges and confessed to the murder of Stephanie. I can't remember her surname.
Okay, to Stephanie Scott?
Yes.
And I remember inside straight away thinking, wow, like this doesn't happen.
I could have fallen off my chair. Do you wish to tell me what the circumstances are surrounding the murder of Stephanie Scott?
I can't really remember.
Sorry?
I think I went a little nuts.
You went a little nuts, did you? And can you tell me what you mean by going a little nuts?
I couldn't stop myself from doing it. I've had anger attacks in the past. I've been treated for that. I think I just need to see a psychiatrist about it. I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
And then I asked him what the circumstances of it was. And he then methodically, unemotionally described that he murdered Stephanie.
I did it at the high school. I beat her to death.
You beat her to death?
Yes.
Can you tell me how you beat her to death?
With my fists.
And whereabouts at the high school did you do that?
At the main entrance to the left, the second storage area, inside that.
In the second storage area?
Yes.
So the main entrance, so...
Once you pass the inner gate to the left, the second storage area on the left side.
How did you get Stephanie into that area?
I picked her up and threw her in there.
Did she say anything to you at that time?
No.
And where was she going when you picked her up and threw her in there?
Outside.
He's got no feeling for this person that he's taken life. He doesn't even know her name. Like, he's just killed this person. He's confessing to killing this person, but she's just an inanimate object, really.
He really could not give me any reason why he went a little bit nuts. But then he said to me, I just had to do it.
Stanford's police interview is chilling. He says exactly what he did to her, but doesn't show an ounce of emotion the entire time. He just tells it in the most cold-blooded way, a depraved killer, just narrating to police what he did to a beautiful young woman.
It was quite apparent and known that Stephanie was going to come in over Easter to get some work done. She didn't want to leave her relief teacher empty-handed. And when she was leaving, she was at the gate, and Vincent was close by at that point in time. And she turned to Vincent and she said to him, "I'm going now, have a happy Easter."
He described to me walking in behind her, covering her mouth, grabbing her and dragging her back. He described how surprised he was, how strong she was for a little person. And she's obviously fighting for her life.
Can you tell me where you got those scratches from? Several of them are from Stephanie Scott.
And how did she do that?
With her fingernails.
And when did she do that?
When I tried to kill her. When I killed her.
When you killed her?
Yes.
Okay, so you say that you've... Can you just tell me exactly what happened when she walked... When you first... You said you were waiting for her to come out, were you? You were waiting for her to finish her work?
Yes.
Okay. What exactly happened then? When she finished her work, what did you do?
He said he's thrown her on the floor. She's tried to get back out. So he's had to pin her down. And he said, and that's when she scratched me. And he was trying to blame her. It was almost like he was blaming her for an assault, for the scratch on the face.
I picked her up from behind with my right hand over her mouth and my left hand around the middle. I dragged her into the store. I closed the door behind us, chucked her on the floor, and I beat her to death.
You say with your fists?
Yes.
Did you use any other weapon?
I did use a knife as well.
A knife?
Yes, a clip point knife.
What did you do with Stephanie with that knife?
I beat her and I hit her in her carotid artery with the knife.
Okay. Did she say anything to you at any time?
No.
Did she scream at all?
No, I had one of my hands around her throat so she couldn't.
And he then sexually assaulted Stephanie and he then murdered Stephanie. You're sitting across from a person showing no emotion, who's describing to you the most heinous things you've probably ever heard.
I took her into the store and killed her.
And we're talking about taking someone's life and murdering them. But it just seemed that something that almost in a day-to-day conversation sort of scenario that he was saying that to me, and it was really, really chilling. And I needed to remain calm. I needed to take my time. My heart was racing a million miles an hour.
Where were you at that time then?
I was working and had our pressure cleaner out to clean the garbage bins and put some of the garbage bins upstairs. That's when I saw her.
Asking the staff?
Yes.
Did you say anything to her at that time?
No.
Did she say anything to you?
No.
Did she see you?
I think so.
You think so?
I walked by the door, so she probably knew I was there.
But you didn't say anything to her?
No.
So what? So she's in that room alone, is that right? She in that?
Yes.
In that staff room alone. Did she, you said you got a feeling that you had to do it. What feeling? Can you describe that to me upon seeing her? What feeling came over you? Like, what did you feel?
That I had to kill her. I wasn't angry or anything. Basically emotionless, just that I had to kill her.
It's something that I'll never, ever forget in my life.
I've never spoke to or never want to speak to someone like him again. Like, he was just so emotionless, so calm. Best way I can describe him is evil.
And what words did she say to you?
I'm going. Have a happy Easter. I've had a lot of fighting thoughts, but I've never acted on them.
Okay. So when you say you've had a lot of violent thoughts, can you describe to me what those thoughts have been?
Killing various people I've met.
Yep.
Hurting them. That's about it, really.
And is there any reason why you wanted to kill these people or hurt these people?
No, I think I might have some mental problems, but they've never done anything to me to deserve it.
I really struggled with him not having any feeling or any emotion. He was so matter of fact that just, I saw her and I knew I had to kill her. And it was like, why? Like, how? What had happened? It was just a simple fact that, and he was confused by that.
Are you able to tell me why you got angry at Stephanie and why you wanted to kill her?
I didn't really feel anger, I just wanted to kill her.
Oh, so you didn't feel anger?
No, I
You just wanted to kill her?
emotion.
Okay.
He'd just taken someone's life, but there was no reason for it. It was just something he wanted to do. It was simple like, I want to watch a TV show.
What was so important about understanding the psychology of what actually went on in this case was that this was something that was not emotionally driven. And in fact, he said himself, he was emotionless. He just felt that he needed to kill her. I'm Dr. Sarah Yule, and at the time of this investigation, I was the senior forensic psychologist for New South Wales Police Force, providing any psychological assessment requirements for their investigative purposes. It was important that detectives were aware to not go down an avenue that appealed for emotional capabilities that Vincent Stanford didn't have. What they needed to focus on was understanding the deviant interests that he had and the behaviours that he enacted to meet those needs.
Police soon discovered Stanford had grand, evil ambitions. My name is Peter Overton, and I've been a television journalist for nearly 40 years. It was so much bigger than they realised.
Vincent Stanford had been secretly tracking 3 women in the town, Joanne, Jennifer and Gillian, and taking photos of them covertly.
In Vincent's bedroom, there were many items of interest, including an A4 exercise book that I located and I started flicking through. Contained in that were significant writings by him regarding the movements of a 12-year-old. She had clearly been watched by him for a significant period of time. He had numerous photos of her, hundreds of photos.
He took images that were not including anybody's face. They were from the neck down. It was clear to me that this tied in with Vincent Stanford's absolute lack of emotional connection to other people. Your face is what demonstrates your capacity to show emotion, to connect with others through your expressions.
There was a number of notes that he'd made in relation to the surveillance of the young schoolgirl, including times she was home alone. One of the writings in there was plenty of time to abduct. He had drawings of females in chains. He even had where there was a knife to a female's head in pencil drawings within this notebook. He had a list of stupefying drugs written in there, like Valium and chloroform. These were, to me, quite chilling, and just I can get him now. He's got goosebumps from reading this.
Later on in the investigation that we discovered he'd actually ordered a knife and also a set of flex cuffs, which are like zip tie handcuffs, on the Saturday immediately before the murder. He also tried to source some leg cuffs, only to be told they were out of stock and that he was on a waiting list. So that was quite concerning that he already had weapons clearly enough to facilitate a murder, but he was seeking further tools and further knives and cuffs for whatever purpose he had.
He was looking up serial killer knives, the sharpest knives, the best knives, clip point knives.
On the one hand, it looks like Stephanie Scott was a random victim, and yet on the other hand, it looks like a lot of planning in terms of preparation for killing. I'm Dr. Richard First. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist. I met Vincent Stanford in 2016 as part of an assessment for his criminal proceedings at that time. Vincent Stanford stood out because he was particularly cold and, I think, matter-of-fact in the way he described things. In my view, the lack of attachment, the lack of emotional attachment, and some antisocial traits allowed him to effectively victimize people or look for victims and then eventually kill because he felt detached from the impact of those actions on the victim. And in other words, he had no feeling for killing a person, and in this case, tragically, Stephanie Scott. He certainly fits in that profile of people that may well have gone on to commit multiple homicides.
I have no doubt that this was not going to be the end for Vincent Stanford. His plan was to continue to kill again.
I think he clearly had intentions of stalking, raping and murdering other women. It was quite clear that he was heading down that line of quite possibly being a serial killer.
Vincent Stanford was born in Tasmania but spent most of his childhood growing up in the Netherlands.
And when someone demonstrates this extent of brutality, interest in violence, preparation, thought, planning, having a toolkit essentially ready to go for when the opportunity arose. One of the first things the investigative team was doing was looking at what may have happened through this family's period of time residing in the Netherlands.
My concerns are that he was over there with these behaviours and these thoughts, and we know from our investigation he was left, him and his brothers were left to their own devices, mum work nights. So my concerns are, what did he get up to with these thoughts, with this spare time on his hands?
My name is Annelies Verhelst and I am one half of the podcast duo of Al Sla Je Me Dood.
My name is Sylvia Mulder-Stones. I'm the co-host of true crime podcast Al Sla Je Me Dood.
To me, it's not very likely that Vincent Stanford only started committing crimes once he moved to Australia. One of the things that was really interesting to me is that it is known that, as soon as he moved to Australia, the moment he arrived, he started buying all sorts of knives, different handcuffs, things like this. And I was thinking to myself, maybe he had these knives and all these sort of things already when he was living in the Netherlands. But then, of course, these are things you cannot really take on a plane. So you would have to leave them behind, and that would make for a certain urgency to get to buy them again.
So the tools that go along with deviant preferences, such as the items that Vincent collected not long after moving to Australia. A collection of knives, restraints, things associated with inflicting violence on people. That develops along with the deviant preference that develops at a much younger age. So it would be surprising if similar items hadn't been collected previously, because it's a fairly determined need that he's meeting quite soon after arriving here.
Through the podcast, we learned that this type of behaviour often escalates. It doesn't just start with cold-blooded murder. It is something that progresses over time. It starts with small offences and aggressive behaviour and just builds up over time. You know, it was only a year after he moved to Australia that he committed this horrific crime.
We did get some recordings off his computers and electronic devices that appeared to be from the Netherlands, just of him. And he still had those sex stalking behaviours. It was a pattern of behaviour that he continued in when he returned to Australia, and we found evidence of with the 3 females.
In the interview, he stated that he'd never done this before. I was really concerned about that comment. I thought, this is something... He'd spent 20-odd years of his life in the Netherlands, and he'd only been back in Australia for about a 12-month period. I find it hard to believe that he has done nothing before.
Police wanted to know what he was getting up to in the Netherlands. What they unearthed was disturbing.
As a 12-year-old, he has overpowered this teacher and was choking the teacher.
It's kind of scary that his thoughts are to kill my husband.
I look into his eyes and like black holes.
What came next was something neither Detective Clark and Detective Milne could have predicted.
Learning that Vincent was an identical twin was shocking.
Identical twin brother, identical DNA. What have I got? I could have fallen off my chair.